It is now 10:11 a.m. So, for me, good morning. And we're going to go ahead and touch on this UE-US trade deal. Seem to be a lot of people are very upset about this, but what it turns out to be is something entirely different than some people think it is. They've got a lot of detail, but it won't be a very long video, not compared to some of the other ones I've done anyway. So let's go ahead and jump right into it and see where it takes us.
One. What is the US-EU trade deal about? It's a newly signed agreement between the United States and the European Union aimed at reducing trade barriers and tariffs. Key industries with lower tariffs: automobiles, semiconductors and electronics, pharmaceuticals and medical devices, agriculture and food products, energy, LNG, oil, hydrogen tech, defense and aerospace equipment, industrial machinery and components, clean and renewable technologies, alcoholic beverages.
Now, that's interesting about the windmill picture. Donald Trump has now decided that the windmills are causing more of a burden than they are alleviating. So, and I agree with him, because a lot of the landfills, they won't let you bury the blades once they're defunct. They just won't let you do it. So now you've got all these blades, where you're going to throw them. Well, the only place we have to throw them is in the ocean. Well, let's go ahead and just throw a bunch more garbage into the ocean. It's a great idea, right? Not. So there will be research and development for other things, and the European Union is going to help us do that, and we're going to help them too. It's a two-way street.
For example, wine, spirits, textiles and apparel. Promoting energy and defense cooperation. 1. Europe will buy more US energy. Big deal. $750 billion in American oil, gas, and hydrogen over 10 years. F-35 Lightning II fighters. Patriot air and missile defense systems. M1A1 Abrams battle tanks. High mobility artillery rocket systems. Javelin anti-tank missiles. Advanced radar and missile defense components. 2. Faster approval of.
So, all of this military equipment is that's going to a trusted ally. Okay, we didn't leave it in a country that was being oppressed by an enemy army this time. So that's a good thing.
Energy projects. Europe will speed up approval for U.S. energy shipments and infrastructure.
Before, they were dragging their feet horribly on projects that we wanted to do as far as energy and transportation infrastructure and things like that, shipping, pipelines, storage, those sorts of things. So now they're going to help us, and we're going to help them.
3. Clean energy partnership. Both sides will work together on solar, wind, batteries, and green hydrogen. Emergency energy plans. 1. U.S. and EU will coordinate backup energy supplies in case of crises. 2. Strengthening economic ties amid global instability. What industries are most affected? Semiconductors. Automobile.
Semiconductors. Currently, we buy unbelievable amounts of semiconductor components from China. This is not going to be a forever thing. This is going to change. Now, that's the way I see it, anyway. So once that's changed, we have to have another partner, another business partner, to help us procure those things. And the European Union has decided that they wanted to be that partner. So that's good. It also goes for Automobiles, listen to this. This is good.
Pharmaceuticals, defense manufacturing, energy, particularly LNG exports. What are the key terms of the deal? 1. Tariffs paid by the EU are capped at 15%, down from threatened 30%, on semiconductors, cars, and drugs. 2. EU to purchase $750 billion in U.S. energy. 3. EU commits $600 billion in investment in U.S. sectors. 4. EU to lift restrictions on U.S. agricultural exports. 5. Preference for U.S. military equipment in NATO-aligned procurement.
Okay, this little clarification. The 15% the European Union pays the U.S. for tariffs. The United States pays 0 to the European Union for products that they import from the U.S. That's a great deal. That's incredible. Now, when the EU purchases 750 billion in U.S. energy, that's a year. That's not a one-time thing. The same for the 600 billion for investment in other what they call U.S. sectors, which means whether it would be infrastructure things, private industry programs, anything that basically would improve the financial relationship between the two nations. Now, the European Union had restrictions on agricultural exports. We couldn't export to them certain agricultural products. And it was all about the money. It's all about the money. So they dickered and dealed and chewed the fat, and now they've hammered out something that I couldn't find a whole lot of details on it, but as long as they're willing to lift some of those restrictions, we're good. A preference for military hardware, U.S. military hardware. Why? Because the United States makes the finest military hardware on the entire planet. How can I say that? Because I have watched and listened and paid very careful attention to what other countries are announcing for their new military hardware. Yes, there are top secret things that nobody knows about for every country. Not saying there's not. And I don't know about those things. But I'm talking about the ones that everybody knows about. The United States makes the best military hardware on the entire planet. And the European Union wants to take advantage of that. Now, people might be concerned. They're going to say, well, what if the European Union decides, they don't like us anymore and they're going to start shooting at us? They're going to use our hardware. Doubtful. It is doubtful that they're ever going to go to war with the U.S. Look at European Union, all right, and then look at U.S. Our Army far outpaces them in training and number. People say, well, what about the British Special Forces? Well, that's an exception. But we have our Special Forces too. See, so, excuse me. So what it boils down to is this. We have the best of military everything. Why? Because we pay attention to detail. Incredible attention to detail. Yes, the projects go to the lowest bidder. It doesn't mean they're the worst producer. Right now we're doing pretty good. Some people can complain about the F-35, the 3 different types of what's wrong with them and this and that and the other thing. And some of those complaints are well-founded, but they're still far superior to anything that we know that other countries have. So that's, military equipment is the preference the world over.
Who benefits most from the deal? U.S. energy and defense sectors. European consumers, from lower import costs. multinational companies operating in both markets. Critics in Europe argue the US got the better end of the deal. Is this deal final or still being negotiated? As of today, July 28, 2025, the deal is finalized and signed, though implementation timelines vary by sector.
Which means the deal is final. It's done. All that has to be done is a bunch of discussion on the EU side to decide how they are going to adjust things to on their side to work with this deal. So that's what that means.
How will this affect global trade? 1. Could pressure China and India to adopt more reciprocal trade terms with the West. 2. May reshape supply chains toward US-EU friendly zones. 3. Potential to influence WTO reforms. What are the political reactions? 1. Biden administration is calling it a historic win.
Imagine that. You know, what was the Biden administration is calling Trump's trade deal with UE a historic win. I thought I would never hear that from them. It's like they struggle, they fight not to say anything positive about Donald Trump, but they couldn't help it this time. This time there was no way out of it. They had to be positive because it's getting positive effects.
2. Some EU officials call it unbalanced or US-centric.
Because U.S. is paying zero in tariffs to them.
3. Populist parties in Europe are using it to criticize mainstream leaders. Will this lower prices for consumers? Possibly in the medium to long term. 1. Lower tariffs equal lower import costs. 2. Greater supply access may stabilize prices, but immediate consumer price drops are unlikely. Does this deal impact NATO or military alliances? Yes. Part of the agreement includes 1. More joint military procurement. 2. Preference for U.S. weapons systems. 3. Shared cybersecurity frameworks. What's the next step after?
Those things are going to be so important when other countries come in and try to take over the EU. The U.S. is going to be there. And if anybody tries to take over the U.S., the EU is going to be there. Now, people would say, well, of course, there's NATO. We already have NATO. This is going to strengthen that relationship between our two nations. We got each other's backs. Now, there's some people that over there, they're administrators and this and that and the other thing, and they don't care for this deal because they feel that because they have to pay a tariff coming into the United States, and the states, we don't have to pay tariff for stuff going into their country. They view that as a loss. It's not really a loss because it's going to bring more products to their country for their consumers, and they're going to have more of an opportunity to make some money on the retail side of all of that. And not only that, but the people purchasing those retail products for their homes and such are going to be very happy about that. And because of the zero tariffs, those prices should be low enough to make it affordable generally.
After the deal? 1. Ratification by European Parliament and individual national legislatures. 2. Sector-specific implementation phases, some immediate, some over 2 to 3 years. 3. Creation of joint trade and energy task forces.
Now that ratification by European Parliament and individual national legislatures, they're adjusting things on their side. They're saying, okay, we've made this deal. How are we going to take advantage of it on our end of it? And so that's their idea of ratification of it. Now, sector-specific implementation phases, those are, like I was saying, different sectors that buy and sell, whether it be private or public. So that could take from 2 to 3 years. Now, some of it, like I said, may be immediate, but don't count on what you think should be immediate, because they generally have a different idea. And the task force idea, that's the two countries just putting a bunch of their smartest people together on the subject and coming up with the best ways to communicate. So there we have that. I told you it was a short one, comparative. If you could please comment, like, share, follow. I cannot stress to you how important that is. So if you would do that, that would certainly be appreciated. So all of these things, these are the nuts and bolts of it. And I am sure that in the future, after the dust settles, and that may take a few years. So if some prices go up, don't panic. Because it's just a matter of markets getting a feel for what they can buy and sell and for how much and to who. After that's settled, prices are expected to go down, lower than what some are, probably, imported products. Now this is also going to increase U.S. production because now we can sell to the European Union for zero tariff. That's awesome. Now we can start making a whole bunch more stuff and sending it to them. Let them purchase all that stuff. So in things that we were afraid of having an excess of, well, that's not a problem anymore. So it's just something to think about. That's your culture thought for the day. I want to thank you for your time. God bless you, and God bless America.